The moon hung like a pale coin in the ink-black sky, casting eerie shadows over the silent neighborhood. The gym, usually bustling with the sounds of clanking weights and the hum of treadmills, now stood silent and dimly lit. Chloe had always enjoyed late-night workouts. The solitude helped her focus. But tonight, as she entered the gym alone, a chill ran down her spine. She swiped her access card, the metallic click echoing in the silence. Fluorescent lights buzzed to life, casting a cold, sterile glow. Chloe ignored the unsettling feeling in her gut, attributing it to the late hour and her overactive imagination. She slipped on her headphones, cranked up her music, and headed for the treadmills. Minutes stretched into an hour as Chloe lost herself in her workout. But then she noticed a figure in the corner of the gym. A tall man, his face obscured by a hoodie, stood in the shadows. Chloe's heart raced, and she slowed her pace, trying to appear casual. Maybe he's just another late-night gym-goer, she thought, attempting to rationalize her unease. However, as she stole glances, the man's behavior grew more suspicious. He seemed to be watching her, his gaze never leaving her as she moved from one machine to another. Chloe's breath quickened, and she reached for her water bottle, her fingers trembling. Determined not to let fear rule her, Chloe finished her run and headed towards the weightlifting area. She chose a bench near the exit, where she could keep an eye on the stranger without making it obvious. As she lifted the weights, she couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted. Time blurred, and the gym's fluorescent lights hummed ominously. Chloe's muscles burned from the workout, but fear overshadowed any discomfort. Glancing at the clock, she realized it was well past midnight. She decided to confront the situation, to end this chilling charade. She wiped her forehead with a towel, her heart pounding in her chest. As she approached the shadowy figure, she forced her voice to remain steady. "Hey, is there something I can help you with?" she asked, trying to mask her anxiety. The man turned towards her, his face still hidden in the hoodie's shadow. "Oh, no need to worry," he replied, his voice unsettlingly calm. "I'm just here to work out too." Chloe's grip on the towel tightened. She didn't buy his explanation for a second. "I've never seen you here before. Are you a member?" He chuckled, the sound devoid of warmth. "Oh, I'm just visiting. Thought I'd check out the gym while it's empty." Chloe's instincts screamed at her to get away, but she held her ground. "Well, it's late. Most gyms close earlier. You should probably leave." The man's gaze bore into her, a predatory gleam in his eyes. "But I'm not done with my workout yet." Chloe's heart raced as his words sent a shiver down her spine. She backed away, her mind racing. She needed to get help, to escape this unsettling situation. She turned and walked briskly towards the gym's entrance, her steps echoing in the silence. As she approached the exit, relief washed over her. But then, a hand grabbed her shoulder, yanking her back. She turned around, her eyes widening in terror as she came face to face with the hooded man. He was taller than she'd realized, his face still hidden in shadows. "You can't just leave," he hissed, his grip tightening on her shoulder. Chloe's heart pounded, her fight-or-flight response kicking into overdrive. She swung her water bottle at his head with all her strength, the plastic connecting with a satisfying thud. He stumbled back, his hood falling back slightly to reveal a scarred cheek. Adrenaline surged through Chloe's veins as she sprinted towards the gym's front desk. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed 911. The operator's voice was a lifeline as she reported the situation, her voice quivering. Seconds stretched into eternity as she awaited the police's arrival. She watched the entrance, her breath catching at every shadow. Finally, the flashing lights of a patrol car pierced the darkness, casting an eerie red glow over the gym's entrance. Officers rushed in, their stern expressions giving Chloe a glimmer of hope. They apprehended the man, who put up surprisingly little resistance. As they led him away in handcuffs, One of the officers approached Chloe. "You did the right thing by calling us," he said, his voice reassuring. "This guy has been on our radar for a while. We've been looking for him." Chloe nodded, her legs shaky beneath her. She was safe now, but the terror of the encounter still clung to her. The officer took her statement, assuring her that they would be in touch for further questioning if needed. After the police left, Chloe stood alone in the gym's empty expanse, the fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows. The familiar space now felt tainted, the memories of that night etched into every corner. She shuddered, vowing never to take her safety for granted again. Days turned into weeks, and the gym reopened its doors. Chloe returned, her determination to reclaim her routine outweighing the residual fear. But even as she lifted weights and jogged on the treadmill, she couldn't shake the memory of the hooded man's chilling presence. Late nights at the gym would never feel the same again. The shadows held secrets, and Chloe knew she would always be haunted by that encounter. A chilling reminder of the darkness that could lurk in even the most ordinary places. Weeks turned into months, and the memory of that harrowing night gradually began to fade. Chloe's determination to reclaim her sense of security pushed her forward, and with each passing day, she found herself less tense in the gym's once unsettling atmosphere. She got to know the gym staff better, exchanging stories of the neighborhood's history and late-night regulars. However, every now and then, she'd notice a lingering unease in the eyes of the staff members when she brought up the incident. It was as if the gym had its own scars from that night, ones that hadn't fully healed. One evening, as Chloe finished up her workout, she was approached by Sarah, one of the gym's longtime employees. Sarah's eyes were a mix of sympathy and caution, as if she were about to share a dark secret. "Hey, Chloe," Sarah began, her voice hushed. "I know it's been a while since that night, but there's something you should know." Chloe's heart skipped a beat. Memories of the hooded man flooded back, the terror and adrenaline resurfacing. "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Sarah sighed, her gaze fixed on some distant point. "The guy you encountered that night, the one in the hoodie. He wasn't the first." Chloe's brows furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" Sarah hesitated before continuing, her words cautious. "There have been similar incidents in the past. A few people have encountered someone unsettling in the gym at night." Chloe's pulse quickened, her mind racing to comprehend Sarah's words. "Wait, you mean this has happened before? And no one did anything about it?" Sarah nodded, her expression grim. "We tried to keep it quiet, thinking it was just isolated incidents. But after what happened to you, we realized it was more serious than we thought." Chloe's thoughts whirled, the gym's otherwise familiar surroundings now tinged with a sense of dread. "Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you tell me about the others?" "We didn't want to scare anyone away," Sarah admitted. "We thought if we kept quiet, maybe the person would eventually give up." "We were wrong." Chloe's frustration mingled with her fear. She had thought her encounter was a one-time occurrence, an anomaly. But now it seemed like the gym was a hunting ground for someone with malicious intent. Determined to find out more, Chloe asked, "Do you have any idea who this person might be?" Sarah shook her head. "No, we never got a good look at them. They always wore a hoodie and kept their face hidden. We've increased security measures and installed more cameras, but they still managed to slip in somehow." As Chloe left the gym that night, her thoughts were a whirlwind of uncertainty. She had faced her fear once, but now she realized the threat was more pervasive than she had ever imagined. The gym's sterile lights and echoing halls now held a sinister undertone, and the shadows seemed to dance with secrets. In the days that followed, Chloe's vigilance grew. She would arrive early, double-checking the security measures and scanning her surroundings for any unusual figures. She took self-defense classes, determined to be prepared should she ever encounter the hooded stranger again. Her routine became a mix of determination and paranoia. Friends and family urged her to find a new gym or exercise during the day, but Chloe couldn't bring herself to give up what she had fought so hard to reclaim. The gym was hers, a territory she refused to surrender. Then, one fateful night, as she was finishing up her workout, she caught a glimpse of movement in the corner of her eye. Her heart raced as she turned, her breath catching in her throat. There, in the shadows, stood the hooded figure. Fear and anger surged through Chloe. She had prepared for this moment, trained for it. This time, she wouldn't be a victim. She approached the figure, her voice steady and fierce. "Leave, now." The person in the hoodie didn't move, their silence unnerving. But Chloe stood her ground, her muscles tense and ready for action. With a sudden, fluid motion, the figure pulled down the hood, revealing a face that Chloe recognized. It was the scarred man from that terrifying night. His eyes were wary, defeated. "You don't have to be afraid of me," he said, his voice devoid of the earlier hostility. Chloe's guard didn't waver. "Why should I trust you? After what you did?" He sighed, his shoulders slumping. "I never meant to scare you. I was just trying to work out, like you." Chloe's anger battled with her confusion. "Then why did you act so suspiciously?" He hesitated before answering. "I'm homeless. I don't have anywhere else to go. The gym is warm, and the late hours mean fewer people to see me." Chloe's heart softened, conflicting emotions swirling within her. She had seen only a predator that night, but now the man before her seemed vulnerable and lost. "Still, that doesn't excuse your behavior," Chloe said, her voice firm but less confrontational. "I know," he admitted, shame in his eyes. "I've made mistakes, but I'm not a danger to anyone. I'm just trying to survive." Chloe's gaze softened, empathy replacing some of the lingering fear. She knew that the world could be cruel and unforgiving, and sometimes desperation led people down dark paths. As time went on, Chloe and the scarred man struck an unlikely understanding. He never approached her again during her workouts, and he seemed to keep to himself more. She learned his name was Alex, and that he had faced hardships that were difficult for her to comprehend. The gym slowly transformed back into a space of refuge for Chloe, albeit a more complex one. The eerie atmosphere still lingered, but now it was tinged with a mixture of empathy and caution. The shadows held not just secrets, but stories, and the gym became a place of redemption for both Chloe and Alex. In the end, the story of the hooded figure in the gym at night was not just about fear and danger. It was a tale of vulnerability, desperation, and the surprising connections that could emerge from the most unsettling circumstances.